See, money doesn't make noise. Money doesn't make noise. A lot of people that want to show flashiness, trust me, there's nothing behind it. Hey, welcome back to the channel, All Things Business. Today I'm going to teach on signs someone is secretly wealthy or rich. Once again, I'm going to teach today on signs that someone is secretly wealthy or rich. So, and I'm going to give you about 7 of them. So take notes on this. It's going to be very important, okay? Now, number 1, being frugal. Frugal is definitely a sign of someone being wealthy because they don't splurge money on things that we consider useless or something that's not going to get them to where they want to go, because we understand investments. So frugal, I know, in other words, let me say this, they understand the value of money. I'm going to say it again. They understand the value of money. They don't squander it on fancy, flashy objects because we know that's a fad. What's in the day may go out tomorrow. So we look at things that's going to give us long-term returns, and we invest in things that's going to be quality, not quantity. Let me say it again. Quality, not quantity. Look at your relationships. How many of those would you say are quality relationships still stick around, and you lose some of the quantity along the way? Have you noticed that? Think about the top 3 people in your life. How long have they been around you? Now think about a couple that just left you in the last, say, year or 2 years. So in other words, we wealthy people, they think in terms of lasting true value. Write that down. In lasting true value. So that's important. You know, most people equate wealth to lavish spending. You know, we see it on the internet, we see it on these programs, and half these guys, and that's not their car, it's not their plane, it's not their boat, but we take it that that's how the lifestyle should be lived. And in other words, the saying goes, you got to fake it till you make it. Wealthy people think the complete opposite. Rich, secretly, quietly wealthy and rich people think exactly the opposite, okay? So that was number 1. Here's number 2. They're not fixated on material possessions. They rarely flaunt their wealth. You know, I think about my aunt who lives up in Seattle, Washington. Before she passed, I'd fly up to Seattle and do network marketing. She would join every company I joined, the 2 that I did join. And she didn't do it for the money. She did it to get out of the house. She had plenty of money. She actually was on the board of directors for the bank up in Seattle, Washington. Her and my uncle helped build the floating bridges up there in Seattle, Washington. If you go across a couple of bridges, she built them. First black woman that was on the board of directors of a bank up there. She also had a construction company, Seawest Construction, to build things, apartment buildings and houses. And my aunt lived in the same house for the last 40, 50 years. Didn't care. You know, you would not know it. You know, she had a motorhome that, you know, a car was always 10, 15, 20 years old. She didn't care. She didn't flaunt it. And I was just talking to my uncle a couple of days ago, just to call my uncle up to say happy birthday. Oh, no, I'm to say hello. He's the last of the monarch in the family on my dad's side. And he was telling me a story. He didn't realize how wealthy my Aunt Barbara was, his sister Barbara. And he said to her one day, he said, hey, do you need to borrow some money? And she looked at him and sniggled. I said, Unc, do you realize how wealthy she was? She's worth 20, 30, 40, 50 million dollars. You know, but you would not know it. She didn't flaunt it. So understand, people with wealth, they know that they know and they're secure in who they are as a person. They don't flaunt it. They don't buy the new shiny objects. They want less attention. Write this down. They want less attention on themselves. I remember I used to go out with my dad a lot when he was alive, and he'd walk around and all this change, nickels, dimes, and quarters in his pocket, making all that noise. I said, Dad, don't do that. We're going to get shot or robbed over $3.50 in your pocket. If I pull out a wad of money, honestly, do this. See, money doesn't make noise. Money doesn't make noise. A lot of people that want to show flashiness, trust me, there's nothing behind it. I remembered a couple of months ago, I was looking at buying this apartment building. I went by it in the evening and the day. And I went by in the evening, and I noticed it had a brand new Mercedes in one of the stalls. Now think about this. This person is more important looking flashy with the Mercedes, living in an apartment building. They got their they got things, their priorities, I think, messed around. I think it should be opposite. You should buy the house first and then get the car. But instead, this person had to live in an apartment, driving a brand new Mercedes. Their priorities are a little mixed up. So understand that. That's number 3, by the way. Their priorities and experiences over time. So just like I talked about the guy with the Mercedes in the apartment building, there's nothing wrong with that, but it's priorities. We have our priorities correct. Material possessions is only temporary. Give us temporary boost. And most people, they get the boost. They got to get something else to boost them. They got to get something to boost them. I can remember, I'm not going to say any names, but some people, they have to buy things, the newest Louis Vuitton bag, new Gucci bag. They always got all these bags after bags. Why? Because they're not happy on the inside. So they have to have some outside worldly goods and possessions to make them feel good about who they are, because they're real shallow on the inside. And I'm saying everybody, but some people. So we are quick to return to our basic line level of satisfaction. What gives us satisfaction? Satisfaction is knowing that we know. It isn't amazing how when you don't have any money and you say, well, one day I'm gonna buy this, I'm gonna get this, I'm gonna get this. And then when you start making wealth and having wealth and excess capital, and the bank account is full, you start thinking, I could get it now, but I don't really want it. It doesn't give me any satisfaction. Isn't that amazing? It doesn't give you satisfaction, because now you can get, it's like my peace of mind is more important. So these are things that people don't understand about how to find if somebody is secretly wealthy or rich. Okay, they're more important in not having fleeting joy. What do I mean by fleeting joy? What's in the day is gone tomorrow, and they got to keep up with the Joneses. The next thing, the next thing. So their priorities and experiences that create lasting memories and personal growth is more important. Let me say that again: lasting memories and personal growth. That could be traveling with the family, making family memories, taking pictures. See, that's what's so important. Doing this, one of the things that's important is like this channel here. Is for personal growth. And I look back and I go through my pictures of 10 years ago, 20 years ago, and I have to laugh and thank God, because I have lifetime experiences. I've been to 29 countries. And now that's something a lot of people can't say. I'm not saying it to brag, but the memories that I've developed with the people that went with me, family members, friends, that's priceless. So traveling and learning new skills are very important to people who are quietly wealthy or rich. The quality of time spent with loved ones. You cannot put a price tag on that, folks. That's so important. All right, let's move on to number 4. Number four. They value their time. Oh my God, this is huge. What did I say? Time is something, I don't care who you are. We all have the same amount of time in a day. We all have 24 hours a day. The key is, what do you do with your 24 hours a day? I see young people today and people of different ages just squandering their time playing video games. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it, don't get me wrong. Or they spend a lot of their time just been wasteful. I've always had a saying, I wish I could buy people's times back who just squander it and don't have any goals, don't have anything to do, don't want anything, but they just live day by day, and some of them just squander it. So, we understand that that's one resource, is your time, that you cannot get more of. I'll say that again. That's one thing that you can't get more of, is your time. No matter how much money you have, we all have 24 hours a day. What do you do with it? I got my daily MO. I get up at 4 o'clock. I take my tea with a little honey and herbs in it. I put cloves in it. I put ginger in it. I also put fresh mint leaves in it. And I have that first thing in the morning, something warm, first thing in the morning. And then I have my coffee. And then after my coffee, I get up and I put my tennis shoes on, get ready to take my walk. And 45 minutes brisk walk. I take 2 a day. Some days I take 3 a day. But I start my morning that way. As a matter of fact, the last thing I drink at night is the same thing for tea at night before I go to bed. And I'm telling you, I have a great lifestyle, because here again, I use more of my time and I plan my day. My appointments are all planned out. So I have time. When I want to take a vacation, like I said before, I go in the bathroom, I flip the switch on, I look in the mirror, and I wink at the guy in the mirror and ask him, does he want to go? He's never said no. Now, I'm not saying that to be braggadocious. I'm saying because I have put my time in and value building assets. What's an asset? A business, to build residuals, to build other companies, and to build real estate, and to build crypto, and build other things. Now I have the time that I could do what I want to do whenever I feel like doing it. And I've been blessed my whole life because I never had a job. And I'm grateful. Don't get me wrong, I'm grateful. How is that possible, Al Thomas? Well, like I said before in the book, God's Gift, go listen to it on the channel. God gave me 3 billionaires that trained me. And I listened to everything they had to say. And I went to work in what they gave me to do. And that's why to this day, I still have never had a job. And I'm really what? Blessed. Every morning I get up with the attitude of gratitude. First thing I do in the mornings, give great attitude of gratitude, what I'm grateful for. And I start my morning off with being grateful. Because I'm going to tell you something. Somebody did not wake up today. We all got that day coming. But the key is, I'm grateful that I have another 24 hours to succeed and help more people. All right, let's move on to the next one. Number five. They invest in themselves. Successful people, wealthy people who are silently rich and wealthy, invest in themselves. We read books. I try to read 3 books a month. Some months I do 4. Some months I do 2. But when I travel, I always got a book with me. I'm always learning to read. Online. Another way, go online. But today, I mean, you can learn how to fix whatever. You can go online and just Google things nowadays. So it doesn't negate the reason we can't be successful, because information is so freely out there. You just got to take advantage of it. This is what I'm doing on this channel. Here again, to help you. Another thing, take courses. You know, I remember my course. I took a course back in I'm going to date myself, in 82, a real estate course in in San Francisco at Jack Star Hotel. Never forget it. It was a real estate class. I went. I remember Bill Tycoon Green in Mill Valley, California, gave real estate seminars in his front yard. Very powerful. And I went there and it taught me how to become a millionaire. I love his classes. You know, I remember going down to Monterey, meeting a good friend of mine, Mark Duncan, at a real estate class. We went down there and you know, we're all young, crazy, and he was sleeping in his van, and we became good friends. And before you know it, we started investing together. We started bringing in San Jose, California. We bring in Famous Amos. We brought in Mark Victor Hansen. We brought in Dennis Waitley, Wayne Dyer, you name it. I used to have my office full of pictures with these guys because we brought them in. I was one of the investors, so we brought them in. So because of my consistently wanting to learn, now I got around the guys who had books and tapes out, and now I have my own books out and also tapes. But the whole idea, you got to start somewhere. So wealthy people invest in themselves, and they consistently continue investing. Let me give you a tip. If I were you, take 10% of whatever you make, invest back into your knowledge, brain food, brain power. Most people spend more money on hats than they use a hat rack than they do on their brain food. So invest back in yourself, invest in the future, because the world is definitely changing. A year and a half ago, a little over a year ago, I would never have a channel. But look what has happened in a year. But I had to learn something new and be able to pivot, especially today. The world is moving faster and faster and faster. So we have to invest in ourselves to keep up to what's going on in the world. So here again, invest back in yourself, and also invest back in your people. Invest in the people that's in part of your organization. So important. You know, another way of investing, you know, do something charitable. Do something charitable. I mean, I know there's people out there, frats and sororities. Do something charitable. On Saturdays, I look forward to going to my church, and from 7 in the morning to 9 o'clock, we give away food. You know, we put food in the boxes, and people drive back, and we put them in the car, open the car, and put them in the car. We'll do anywhere from 100 people a week. Maybe some weeks we do 168, depending upon that time of the month. If it's the 1st or 15th, not as many because people get paid. But those other weeks, when people don't get paid, the line is long. And sometimes we're there until 9:30 giving away food. So that's another thing, being very charitable. Wealthy people, here again, they donate a lot. They donate their time. They volunteer. They do volunteer work. You know, they help friends and family who people are in need. And it's unfortunate poor people don't do that way. They always think rich people are bad. But you go to the average poor person, they don't give anything. They don't give time, energy, money, nothing. I call it TEMP, T-E-M-P. Your time, your energy, and your money. You gotta give. Number 7, they're very modest. You know, they live modestly in their means. And they also have a sense of fulfillment. So they're looking for something that's fulfilling, not something short term. The satisfaction what they have is helping others. Case in point, they're not trying to keep up with the Joneses.